Zaatari is a refugee camp in Jordan, located 10 kilometers east of Mafraq, which is gradually evolving into a permanent settlement. It was first opened on July 28, 2012 to host Syrians fleeing the violence in the ongoing Syrian civil war that erupted in 2011. On March 26, 2015, the camp population was estimated at 83,000 refugees. It is connected to the road network by a short road which leads to the Highway 10. The camp features market-like structures along the main street where goods like vegetables, basic household equipment and clothes can be purchased. There are also coffee shops where shisha can be smoked. Since the opening of the camp in July 2012, the camp population has repeatedly demonstrated. The main concern has related to the lack of sufficient food supplies and better accommodation. The camp has seen an increasing number of reports of crime, including prostitution and drug dealing. Furthermore, demonstrations are used as a forum to create awareness of the conflict and to express political views against the current government led by Bashar al-Assad and the violence inflicted by the Syrian armed forces. Further, the protesters declared support for the Free Syrian Army. Due to the maximum capacity of 60,000 refugees in March 2013, a second camp was built 20 kilometers east of Zirka in the Merjab al-Fahud Plains. On April 5, 2014, a riot resulted in a number of injuries to both refugees and Jordanian police. One refugee was killed by gunshot. Demographics: accurate counting of the number of refugees in the camp stopped during March 2013 due to the high influx of refugees that skyrocketed that month. Current estimates put the number of refugees residing in the camp at about 79,900. Population growth equals. Since the opening of the refugee camp in July 2012, the camp saw a dramatic increase in its population, that made it the largest population center in Mafraq Governorate within a few months. On the 27th of August 2012, the number of refugees in the camp reached 15,000 refugees, comprising about 10% of the total number of Syrian refugees in Jordan. The camp was housing 30,000 Syrian refugees as of September 6, 2012, comprising about 30% of the total Syrian refugees in Jordan. On the 29th of November, 2012, the number of refugees reached 45,000, while the total number of Syrian refugees in Jordan was approximately 230,000. On the 10th of January, 2013, the total camp population reached 65,000, comprising 22% of the total Syrian refugees in Jordan. On the 5th of February, 2013, the number of refugees in the camp reached 76,000, while the total number of Syrian refugees in Jordan was more than 345,000. In March 2013, the Syrian security forces started a large-scale security campaign in the southern regions of Syria, resulting in a significant increase in the refugees crossing the borders to Jordan. By March 11 there were more than 156,000 refugees in the camp. These estimates make Zaatari the fourth largest city in Jordan. On April 30, 2014, another refugee camp was opened in Azraq. All newly arrived refugees are now taken to Azraq, while the number of refugees in Zaatari have steadily depleted. By September 2014, the number of refugees in Zaatari has fallen to 79,000, according to the latest figures from the UNHCR. The figures during the initial days varied slightly from day to day due to people escaping or leaving the camp back to Syria, and partly due to initial overcounting. Movement out of the camp remains restricted, leaving many to label it a prison or detainment camp and going against core humanitarian principles. Most of the refugees are from the governorates of southern Syria, Damascus and Homs. Services: UNHCR remains responsible for the refugees and the camp is managed by the Jordanian Hashemite charity organization /JHCO. In March 2013, the UNHCR called the German Mr. Kilian Kleinschmidt to be the senior field coordinator of the camp. Other actors include community mobilization. InterSOS is in charge of distributing stoves for tents, blankets and winter clothes as a part of the winterization campaign. International Relief and Development Incorporated. Medical, Copyright des Sans Frontières, International Medical Corps, French military field hospital providing a surgical unit specialized in treating war injuries, Moroccan military field hospital, Syrian American Medical Society, Italian Field Hospital, UAE Red Crescent, Jordanian Red Crescent, Handicap International, IOM/International Organization for Migration Screening and Health Relations with Jordanian Hospitals and Health Ministry for Treatment. IFH Noor Al Hussein Foundation, partner with UNHCR, UNFPA, 2 clinics operated by UNFPA for primary healthcare and reproductive healthcare, WASH coordination and overall responsibility, UNICEF, water and sanitation facilities, Federal Agency for Technical Relief THW constructed 160 kitchen units and 380 toilets. The THW was contracted by UNHCR, MSB, Mercy Corps, Oxfam, Food, WFP, Hygiene Promotion. Acted responsibility lies in the field of water treatment, water testing and waste management. Gen, Oxfam, Education, UNICEF, SCJ/Save the Children. Jordan is working to enroll children of Syrian refugees in the Zaatari refugee camp in schools as a part of the educational outreach program. IRC/International Rescue Committee is active in assessing the extent of gender-based violence. IOM/International Organization for Migration, UNFPA, Norwegian Refugee Council providing informal education services, women's and children's protection. The International Rescue Committee, IRC, operates 4 women's centers in Zaatari camp, and works with UNICEF to care for unaccompanied and separated children. Others, World Vision International implements projects with regard to water drainage and road construction. ICRC is tracing families and relatives of refugees. The Zaatari refugee camp is gradually moving away from a model of top-down service provision, as is usual with refugee camps administered by international humanitarian organizations. Instead, under the aegis of the UNHCR, the camp is gradually transforming into a self-provisioning urban conglomeration, where refugees are provided with various forms of cash-based assistance and encouraged to address their own needs themselves. This is an undoubtedly important development in the history of humanitarian aid and will impact the policies and practices of aid dispensation in the future. Mapping Zaatari is one of the first camps to be mapped in detail through OpenStreetMap. More information is available on the OpenStreetMap wiki, too. See also: Mrajib al-Fhood refugee camp, Syrians in Jordan. References. External links: 3, UNHCR data portal, 4, Al-Zaatari camp map by UNISAT access November 4, 2012, 5, Zaatari 360 reportage, by Martin Edstra paragraph M.